Hi, and welcome to episode 64 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, April 26th, 2019. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and hand-dyed yarn to share with you all. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character. And I also have a group for this podcast in Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you will be able to find the show notes for this episode as well as previous episodes. You can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. And I will have links to all of the places that you can find me in the description box below. So today, before I get started on the projects that I have to share with you, I just wanted to do a quick announcement for you all to please go show some love to Lily of Nordic Stitches. It was brought to my attention earlier this week that her YouTube channel was unfortunately hacked, and she had to start all over with a brand new YouTube channel. And that's just really unfortunate. She had so many lovely podcasts that are just lost now. She has a few vlogs that she's been able to re-upload onto her new channel, which is called Nordic Stitches. But she has lost quite a few subscribers, and she has lost a lot of video footage. So I just wanted to let you all know about that in case you were not aware, like I was not aware of. So I just wanted to let any one of you know that maybe watching this that thought you were subscribed to her channel, maybe you were subscribed to her old channel and you didn't realize that it was shut down, and that she has opened up a new channel that you need to now go re-subscribe to that. Or maybe if you've never checked out her channel before, please head on over to Nordic Stitches and check out her YouTube channel. She is a beautiful knitter and knitwear designer, and she also crochets and spins, and so I just want to show her some love because I think that was so discouraging for her. I'm sure it was, and I just wanted to spread the word about that so that you all could go check out her YouTube channel. So today on my dress form in the background, you can see a shawl that I actually test knitted quite a while ago for Amber Crawley of Maker's Haven. It was a design that she came out with, or that she wrote, I believe it was in the fall of 2017 that I test knitted that. And it's called the Southbound Train Shawl, and I really love it, and I get quite a bit of use out of that shawl. But unfortunately, she has not yet published that design. But I love it. I knit it out of all of my own hand-dyed yarn in quite a few different colors, and so it goes with so much of my wardrobe. It's not too huge. It's a nice, it's just a nice shawl to wear under my coat. A lot of times I wear it so that, it just covers up my neck, and I love the tassels that I added to it. I just really enjoy that shawl. I have asked Amber if she, is still planning on publishing that, and she wasn't 100% sure, but anyway, I really love it, and I think she should release it because it's just a beautiful pattern, but I don't want to put too much pressure on her, of course, and she is very busy writing novels instead of knitting patterns right now. So anyway, but that is what is on my dress form. I have quite a few finished objects to share with you all this week. I have just been able to finish quite a few things, which I'm so happy with. The first of which you will be able to see me wearing is the BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl that I have been working on for a few months, and I'm so pleased to have this finished. This is a beautiful design by Andrea Mowry, and I knitted this using my own hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn, in 4 different colors. I used my Bare Lambs colorway. The black is called Night. Then this light gray with speckles is called Silent. And this lighter color here with speckles is called Insight. I knit this for a lady that I go to church with, and it's a bit of a surprise. She had asked me how she could possibly get one of my knitted shawls because she had seen that I had made a few different shawls for different ladies at church. She offered to buy one, but I said that I don't sell them. And she said, oh, well, I would just really love one. And I said, well, I'll keep that in mind. But that was back probably in October, I would guess, that she had asked me that of last year. And so it will be quite a surprise. I'm sure once I'm hoping to gift it to her this Sunday at church. And I am so excited to gift it to her. It's really fun to make a shawl for a friend. And really, I'm not very, very close with this lady. She is a wonderfully godly woman, and I really admire her and respect her. But we're not super close. I don't know her very well, really. But while I made this, I was just, continuously thinking about her and praying for her. And I just feel closer to her just by making this, because I have put so much thought into it as I've been making it. I've thought about her so much. And I just think that's so neat. Even if you make a shawl for someone that you, I'm part of our prayer shawl ministry at our church as well. And sometimes I'll make shawls and baby blankets, which I'll show you in a little bit, for ladies at our church. And sometimes you don't even know who it's going to, but you're still thinking and praying for whoever it might go to. And then when you do get the opportunity to gift that, it just makes it so much more special, I think. I just really love gift knitting, and I am so absolutely thrilled to be able to gift this shawl to the lady at church, and I'm pretty confident that she'll love it. I mean, it's gorgeous, right? I mean, this design is just stunning. I am so happy with how it turned out. It was a labor of love. It was a long process, and this applied border, if you've tuned in before, you know that applied border was quite time consuming, but it was so worth it in the end. I am so pleased with it. It's so gorgeous. And like I said before, I can easily see myself making another one of these for myself to keep because it's really gorgeous. So here it is in all its glory. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty, isn't it? And I just really love the shape of it. I think it can be so easily worn in several different ways. And no matter how I have put it on, it looks beautiful, just no matter how you style it, I think. It's really quite big. I did not, I blocked it, but I did not pin it out or stretch it at all, which is specified in the pattern. I hadn't read ahead last week when I recorded. I had mentioned that I wasn't sure how I was going to block it, but in the instructions for the pattern, she specifies how you should do it. So I just soaked it, and then I laid it out on plastic bags, actually, is what she recommends if you don't have blocking mats. I usually use a towel on the floor and pin to a towel, but she recommends using garbage bags, and you just lay those flat. And then I laid the shawl right on top of it. I did not use any pins. I just patted it out so that it was in a nice shape, because you really don't want to stretch out the brioche at all. So it blocked beautifully, and well, that's a lot easier to do anyway, because when you pin out a shawl, that can take a long time, to get it all looking just right. Anyway, I really love it, and I think it's just a beautiful size as well. So you can easily wear over the shoulders this way, and it covers the upper arm really nicely, and oh, it's so wonderful. I just love this design so much. Isn't it pretty? No matter how you do it, it's just gorgeous. I love it draped like this. Oh, it's lovely. I'm so happy with this. I knit this on US 4 3.5 millimeter needles, which was recommended in the pattern. And yeah, it has these beautiful seed stitch sections, which I also love the texture of those, as well as all the brioche. I love it. So anyway, I am so excited to gift it to her this Sunday. Hopefully she will be at church and I'll be able to gift it to her. And hopefully she will love it. It's too bad that I'm gifting it to her right as the weather is warming up. But I wear shawls all year round, especially in air conditioning. So hopefully she'll still get some use out of it during the warmer months as well. Yeah, and I love how these tails kind of turn on their own, and so you can see the back side of the brioche, which is so fun, I think. Wonderful pattern. I highly recommend it, but if you do decide to make it, just be prepared that it's not a quick knit. It's quite a, I think, quite a labor-intensive knit. Especially that brioche applied border. The first, few sections up here go by so quickly. Really, I mean, they don't take too terribly long, but then it's like you come to a screeching halt when you get to that brioche applied border. But once I got into the groove of it, once I got used to the applied border stitches and pattern, it went so much smoother. And as I've mentioned before, once I received the DPN needles from one of the podcast viewers, that made a world of difference, and that was so much more helpful to use a DPN needle on the applied border. But anyway, I cannot recommend this pattern more highly. It's just so rewarding to have this finished object, and I'm just gonna enjoy wearing it during this podcast because I'm not gonna wear it again. Okay, I've got a few more finished objects to share with you all. I was able to finish my stripy seed stitch socks, is what I'm calling these. For these, I cast on 64 stitches using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I knit these 2 at a time. I knit the cuff using 3x1 ribbing and using my own hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn, on my Pitter Patter base and in the Deep Waters colorway. Sorry, I forgot to mention that the yarn in this is almost all Pitter Patter base as well. That's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Fingering weight, I do have a little bit of gold stellina, my Twinkle Toes base, which has gold stellina in it as well. But there's not very much. There's just a little bit of the black, the night colorway on gold stellina. Anyway, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Okay, back to these. So after the cuff, I switched to Knit Picks Felici in the Hawaiian shirt colorway. And I also started using a seed stitch pattern for the first 6 rows at the top here. But I came to realize that the seed stitch pattern makes a loose fabric, which I did not realize that before. So after the first 6 rows, or 6 stripes, I switched to a 3x1 ribbing for the remainder of the leg, just so that I could get a better, snugger fit around the leg. For the heel, I used a mini skein, or a mini ball really, that I received in one of the Christmas Advent mini skein swaps that I had done last Christmas. I don't remember the dyer of that, unfortunately, though. But I did an Eye of Partridge heel. And I love how that looks, and I love how the colors in this mini coordinate with the stripes. There are little tiny bits of blue in there as well as the gold, and it has some silver stellina in it. So I really like how that looks. And I did do something different on the gusset. I actually, instead of, normally you would pick up 17 stitches for the gusset, but I picked up 25 instead because I have a really high arch, and I wanted to see how that would work to have a few more stitches on the gusset to give me more room within the instep. So it seems to fit well, but time will tell if I really like it. It is a little bit baggy right here on the sock blocker. I don't notice it so much once I have it on my foot, so I'm hoping that that will be a good fit. But, once I wear them, that will give me a better idea as to how, they really fit. So, again, on the toe, I used the Deep Waters and just did a rounded wedge toe. And yeah, these, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think they're super fun. And these will be for me, so happy to have another pair of socks in my collection. My next finished object is this beautiful baby blanket. I made this for our church's baby blanket ministry, which goes along with the prayer shawl ministry like I had mentioned before. So I am just making this. I don't know who it will be going to, but I am just making this to have on hand for the next probably baby girl, according to the, because of the bright pink, and the bright pink colors really make it probably more fitting for a girl. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is by Jess Copham of the Make and Do crew, and it is called Grandmother's Flower Garden Quilt. I did make a few modifications to the pattern. So in the motif on round 5, which is, maybe I'll show you on this one, it might be a little easier to see. On round 5, I used the white, and you're supposed to do a popcorn stitch on round 5. And I decided to do 6 double crochets in each chain space on that round to have a more of a flat, so that the motif would lay more flat. When I had tried using the popcorn stitch, it was just making the motif not lie flat, and it was more like of a ripply, it had more texture, but I just wasn't happy with how it was laying. It was just all bunched up. So I changed that to have 6 double crochets in each chain space. And then on row 6, I just did the cluster, which is in the pattern. I did the cluster as normal into the middle of each chain 6, into the middle of each cluster of 6 double crochets, and then also into the chain spaces. And then I also chained 2 in between each cluster, which was a little bit of a modification. And then also for the border around each motif, there's originally only 3 rounds of the border, and I added an extra round just because I think my gauge was a little bit tighter than what is recommended in the pattern. Because the motifs in the picture on the pattern on Ravelry looked a little bit larger than the ones that I was making, and so I made them larger so that my main goal in that was so that the background of the white, you can see that there's hexagons formed in the background as well, and those just weren't looking like hexagons when I was doing them with only 3 rounds. They were more short, more flat, so I just added an extra round so that I would have a better hexagon shape here in the background of that white. I used 2 different mandala cakes by Lion Brand in the Troll colorway and also Chimera colorway. And then I rolled each of those mandalas, making small balls out of each of the colors that is found in the mandala. And that's how I came up with all of these beautiful colors. And then the white is Bernat Baby Sport in the white colorway. They're both DK weight, or all of those yarns are DK weight yarns. I used an H hook, which is 5mm. And last time I recorded, I had mentioned that I was thinking that last time I recorded, I had just made the first 3 rows, and I was working on this, I think I had just started another motif for the 4th row, and I was planning to make a 5th row. But once I got done with the 4th row, I just realized that the blanket was already long enough, and I thought if I added a 5th row, it would make it too long. I'm a little disappointed that it's not symmetrical. You know how the top has 3 points here, and the bottom has 2 full hexagons and then 2 half hexagons, so it's not quite symmetrical from top to bottom, but it's okay. I think it's still beautiful. My personality likes things symmetrical a little bit, so that bothers me a little bit. I showed it to my children today, and my 5-year-old son goes, what did he say? No, he goes, "Oh, Mom, that looks a little funny. It looks like it got cut." Anyway, I was like, he could see that on my face that I was like disappointed that he had said that. And he goes, "Well, it's kind of nice, Mom." Well, from the mouth of babes comes honesty, right? Anyway, I think it's great. I think it's a nice crib size, and I don't like making baby blankets too large because then I think it just makes it hard for, it just becomes a little bit too cumbersome to have a big blanket for a baby, I think. And a lot of times babies end up carrying their blankets around, and so it would just be too cumbersome, I think, to have too large of a blanket. I had thought about putting tassels on the ends of these points, but then again, since it wasn't symmetrical at the bottom, I thought that might accentuate the asymmetry of it, and I decided not to add tassels. Besides, I was wondering if I would really be able to attach them securely where a baby wouldn't pull them apart and make a mess of them. So for the border, I also did not do what the pattern called for the border. Instead, I did a single crochet into a stitch, and then I chained 3 and I skipped 2 stitches, and then I did another single crochet and chained 3 all along the edge. When I came to a point, I would only skip 1 stitch, and then I would do 1 into the little point section, a single crochet. So I just made those a little bit closer together to, have a little bit more room to go around the points and the corners. There's also these areas where I just did them a little bit tighter together right around the corners, just so I'd have a few more stitches so that it wouldn't curl in. And then on the second round around the border, I did 3 double crochets into each chain 3 space all around. And then for the peaks, I did just a chain 2 on the peaks, and then in the valleys of these hexagons, instead of doing 3 double crochets, I just did 1 double crochet in each of those chain 3 spaces so that it would lay nicely. And then on these corners that are more abrupt, I did 3 chains instead of only 2. So I really like how that border just made a nice edging around it. It was a little bit difficult to make the border even or lay it kind of, as you can see here on these half hexagons, which, by the way, I really did not like making the half hexagons. This is the first time I've ever made I've made lots of hexagon blankets. Here's one in the background, but I have never made a half hexagon. I've always just, well, as you can see, I just finish it with these hexagons all around the outside, so it has more of a jagged edge all around the outside of it. And the size of these hexagons really makes it, it just looks weird if you don't have some half hexagons. I just really didn't enjoy making those. I kept having to look at the pattern to figure out how to do it because you add extra stitches to the edge. And as I was picking up these stitches for the border, I really had to skip quite a few more stitches actually, because along the border here you don't have regular stitches that you can just skip over to. You kind of have to eyeball it. And over the half hexagons, I was skipping over quite a bit of space to make it lay a little flatter, and I could have skipped even more because I still have this, it's not quite laying flat along the half hexagons, but it's okay. I think the size of these hexagons also made it a little bit more difficult to, get a nice layout for the blanket. When you have smaller hexagons, it's just a little bit easier to make it symmetrical and to make it just a more usable size, I guess. But using these large motifs, it made it a little bit harder to figure out how to place them and how to make it work. In the original pattern, she has the blanket situated like this, where the straight side would be at the top and the sides would have the more scalloped edge. But I just like the looks of it this way better, so. Anyway, I'm really happy with this, and it will just go into storage for now until a new baby is born. I do have quite a bit of extra yarn left over. I have a lot of the Bernat Baby Sport. I had actually bought 2 skeins of that, and I had, they're 300 gram skeins, and I only used half probably of the first one, really. I should weigh that first one to see how much is left over. I did not come close to running out of that first skein, and I still have a whole nother skein that I could possibly use. And I have quite a few of the small balls of the colorful yarn left over as well. So, okay, another finished object that I'm quite surprised by myself are another pair of socks. And I hadn't even cast these on last week when I podcasted. I'm so excited that I got these done so quickly. This is such a rarity for me. The striped pair of socks that I just showed you took me a month to make. That's typical. I'm not a fast sock knitter ever. But this was a test knit that I did for Emily Clausen of Salt City Knits, and she is also part of the Meanwhile at the Castle podcast. And she had asked for some test knitters for this new beautiful design that she has come up with. It is called the Tenderness socks, and she designed this in honor of her mother, as Mother's Day is coming up soon. I think the pattern is planned to be released the weekend of Mother's Day. And yeah, I cast these on Monday afternoon and I finished them on Thursday morning. So I'm really shocked that I did that, but I did. This is the only thing I knit on for those days. And the kids have been playing outside in the afternoons a lot, and so I've been able to sit on our porch swing, and just happily knit along on these for quite a while. So when the kids play outside, they're just, I get a little bit more free time because they're just so happy to play outside, which is so wonderful. And anyway, I am so happy that I got these done, and I decided that I wanted to make a pair of these for my mother. Emily's inspiration for this design inspired me to make these for my mom for Mother's Day. I hadn't come up with a Mother's Day gift for my mom yet, so these will be perfect. And I chose the color because it reminded me of my mom's mom, who has passed away quite a few years ago, but she loved the color orange and was well known for that. She had a kitchen that was decorated all in orange. It had orange wallpaper, orange chairs, I think orange appliances. It was just all orange. And she had orange hair. She had an orange golf bag. She had, I don't know, she was just known for loving the color orange. And so I think when I saw this color, this is my own hand-dyed yarn as well, Noble Character Crafts yarn, and this color is called Bold as a Lion. And this again is on my Pitter Patter base, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon fingering weight. And the heel and toe is in my Discover colorway. And that is a nice neutral background speckled with navy blue, teal, and an orange that coordinates really well with this color. So I really love how these turned out. This pattern, as you can probably tell from how quickly I knit them, was so much fun to knit. There are 4 different sizes for this pattern, and I knit the medium size for my mom. Her shoe size is just one lower than mine. So I wear a 9.5, my mom wears a 9. And so they're pretty close to mine. I did just make them about a 1/2 inch shorter than I would normally make for myself. I cast on 64 stitches, and the cuff is a 2x2 cuff. And then the cable pattern, maybe I should take one off of the blocker so that you can see the beautiful design down the front. It has these cables on either side of the ribbing. And so as I've mentioned before, I love ribbing in socks because it just really gives a nice fit. So I'm hopeful that these will fit my mom really well. It has a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, which I think is the best fitting as well. And the pattern just continues down the front. It is not on the back at all. So it just works up so quickly. It also has a rounded wedge toe in the pattern as well. So I knit these 2 at a time as well, which did prove to be a little bit of a tricky thing around the heel. Normally I don't have a problem knitting 2 at a time with the heel, but the heel is constructed a little bit differently than what I have done before. And so when I had finished the first heel, well, I knit the heel flaps 2 at a time just fine, but then once I did the heel flap and picked up the gusset stitches on the first one, I was in the wrong spot to do it on the second one. So I had to use an extra needle and transfer my stitches over there and do the second one and then rearrange everything. So that was a little bit tricky for me, but I did work it out, and it's worth it for me. 2 at a time socks is just the way to go for me. I just find it so much easier to do both of them at once, and then I don't have to worry about making a whole nother sock after I've already finished one. I just think this is just the way I prefer to make socks, is 2 at a time. It works well for me. So I really love these. I don't know that, my mom does not prefer orange, but she does like bright colors. So it's not that she doesn't like orange, it's just that that's not her preference for, she loves red, really. That's her color. But I just really thought that it would be meaningful to have a pair of socks that are made using a design that was designed with a mother in mind. And then these are for my mother, and I'm hoping that they will remind her of her mother. And so I just thought that that was really special to be able to make them in this bright orange color that will remind us of my grandma. So I'm really hopeful that she will like those. I haven't made her socks before, so I am hopeful that they will fit her well, and then if they do, then I'll be able to make her more in the future if she likes them. So that's exciting. So for finished objects, that was really, oh, and I did use a US size 1 2.25 millimeter needle for those socks as well. Okay, as you can imagine, since I have so many finished objects this week, I don't have a ton to show you for works in progress, but I have started 2 new projects, and they're just in the very infant baby stages of their progress, but I'll go ahead and show them to you anyway. The first one I am keeping in this beautiful bag by Allison Barnes collection, and this is my stripified shawl. So I have been wanting to make the stripified shawl by Stephen West for so long. I should have looked at my queue to see when I had first put that in my queue, but I have had this yarn in a project bag for months waiting to cast this project on. So I'm so excited to cast this on. And this will be, oh, I thought this was the pattern. This is a picture, another picture from my daughter. She's so cute. Look at that. Ah, they're cute. They're unicorns. That is so sweet. I don't have the pattern in here. Well, it's okay, I don't need it. Anyway, I'm so excited to have this on the go now. This is going to be my 8th and final project from my Make 9 list. This is the 7th from my Make 9 list, this BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl. So anyway, I'm excited to have this on the go, and I'll include a picture here so that you can see all of the different yarns that I am including in this project. I just, one day, quite a while ago, I was looking through my scraps of yarn, and purple is my favorite color, and in my scrap pile I just had an abundance of purplish shades of yarn, and so I just pulled them all out, and I thought, oh, it'd be so fun to make a shawl full of all these different shades of purple. And there's lots of pinks and reddish tones in there as well, but they're all kind of a purplish tone to them. And I just pulled them all aside and put them in a project bag, and then they've sat forever. So the picture shows you all of the tiny little mini bits that I have that are purple. And then I don't think that's going to be quite enough yardage. So I do have 3 other skeins that I'm not sure which ones I'll use or how much of these I will use, but I do have these 3 skeins as well. Well, these 2 hanks and this cake that I've already caked up. This one is Maker's Haven in Nobody Knows, I think is the colorway name. Yeah, Nobody Knows. And this I got about a year and a half ago, actually. So, but it's a beautiful purple, and then it's got tones of little tiny bits of greenish color in it as well, but really subtle. It's kind of mainly a grayish purple periwinkle kind of color. And then this is my own hand-dyed yarn. It's very similar to my Honor colorway, but it was one of the first, I think it's a 50-gram hank that I dyed to try out that colorway probably. So it's really, really close to my Honor colorway, but it's not the exact formula. And this is my own hand-dyed yarn as well, but it is a one-of-a-kind, just a light orchid or light purple background, and then it has specks of green and red in it. So it's kind of a cool, it also has some plum, darker purple colored specks in there as well. So again, I'm not sure how much of these I will need, or I'm pretty sure I won't need all of them, but there are options for adding some extra yardage to the shawl. So I just cast this on last night and haven't gotten very far. What I did was I took all of these little tiny mini balls of yarn and I weighed each of them, and then I put a little card on each one that told me how many grams each little ball is. And so my idea is that I'm starting with these 2 colors that were the smallest, you know, the smallest balls that were in the collection. This is my own hand-dyed yarn, my Vineyard colorway. And this is my own hand-dyed yarn too, but it is, I probably could re-dye this colorway. I really do like the periwinkle color of it, but it's not regular in my shop, and I don't remember how I did it. I didn't write down the formula, but I probably could try to recreate this one. It is a pretty color, but anyway, those are the two I'm using right now. So I'm just starting with the smallest ones, and I'm planning to just work my way through the balls from the, from the smallest to the largest, and hopefully it'll work out. So here is my tiny little mini shawl so far. And I'm going to try to, pick colors that have a bit of a contrast, since, as the name suggests, it does have lots of striped sections. It might all be striped. I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure that it is all striped. So you'll always have two different colors working together. And so I'm going to try to pick colors that have as much contrast as possible. I'm using the recommended needles, which are US 5, 3.75 millimeter needles, and all of the needles that I use are ChiaoGoo. Yeah, so I'm loving this so far. Shawls, when they first start out, are so much fun, and then as the rows get longer and longer, it gets a little bit more laborious, but of course I love knitting, so I don't mind. But anyway, it is kind of fun when a shawl just starts off, because you can already kind of get an idea of the shape that it's going to be, and it's fun. I'm really excited to work through all of these different colors and shades of purple, and I'm excited to see how it will work up. And then I also just started another project. As I mentioned, I have quite a bit of the yarn left over from this blanket, and I wanted to use it up because I just didn't want it sitting around. So I have started another baby blanket for the same baby blanket ministry. I'm using another free pattern. This is by Pearl Soho, and it is called the Crochet Tonal Blanket. And let's see, it comes in two different sizes, a baby blanket size and a throw size. The recommended yarn is sport weight, and as I mentioned, this yarn is DK weight. So I'm using a different hook size. Again, I'm using an H 5 millimeter hook. And I am doing the baby blanket size, although I cast on, the pattern calls for you to cast on 149, well, not cast on, but chain 149 stitches to start. And then you do a row of double crochets for the first foundation row there. But I stopped. Here's all these extra chains that I have not yet worked. I still might, but I don't think so, because I think that the width of this is already a good size. I think that if I went all that way, it might just make it a little bit too big. Although I know that when I start blankets, I'm always like, does that look about right? It's kind of hard to tell. But I really do think that that will be a good size, just that. This pattern is interesting because you work the foundation row, and then you use a colored yarn to work this chained stitch. Basically, it's basically the same stitch that I used on the border of the hexagon blanket. So again, it's just a single crochet and then some chain stitches along here. But anyway, you work this foundation row, and then you don't turn your work. You go back to the beginning and you work the colored row, and then I believe then you turn your work and you work along the other side using the main color again, and then the contrast color again. So anyway, I've never done a blanket before like that, where you work a row and then you go back to the beginning and work a different color in crochet anyway. But I was going to say that once I do that colorful row, I'll decide, once I finish that next row, I'll decide if I want to make any more, but I'm pretty sure I'll just keep it that width. And then if you're not an experienced crocheter, you may not know that with these extra stitches, when you start a new crochet project, you make a long chain, but you don't have to use all of these stitches. It's okay. So if I do end up just leaving it this length, then I'll just cut this off and unravel these chains, which isn't too hard to do. So I won't need to use all those. Anyway, as you can see, just started it, but I am planning to use the colorful yarn, the yarn that I have left over from the mandalas, in a rainbow. So I've laid these out in a rainbow order, and I'm planning to just use up all of what I have left over, and probably I'll do a Russian join to connect each new color, and I'll just use up all the yarn until it's done, or until it's the right size. I hope I don't run out before it's a good size, but I think it'll be okay. I hope so. I certainly don't want to have to go buy more yarn to finish this blanket. I'm trying to use up the yarn, but anyway, I just have this in a Christmas box, but I just use it as a basket to hold all the yarn in. Maybe I can show you. I don't know if I can show you without them falling all over, but whoa. And here you can kind of see, oh yeah, oops. There you can see all the different colors I still have left over. So hopefully I'll be able to use all those up, and I think it'll be really pretty in a rainbow gradient. So anyway, I had mentioned 2 other projects that I wanted to make next last week, but I haven't started the other. I mentioned the stripified shawl, but I have not started the other 2 projects yet. I think the test knit that I'm planning to do is going to be delayed a little bit longer than I had expected originally, which is perfectly fine, of course. But I do still plan on making that bag that I had mentioned in the last episode. So I'm sure I will cast that on pretty soon. And I'm excited about that. It's so exciting to have all these finished projects and then to start new things. So that's all I have been working on this week. I do feel pretty accomplished, which is surprising, but I'm still quite surprised that I was able to make those socks so quickly. But the fact that it was a test knit, and it was she really, like I had mentioned, I think she's hoping to release it Mother's Day weekend, which is coming up in just a few weeks. And since I wanted to make those socks for my mom, I just was really, really motivated to try to get them done as quickly as possible. So it worked out. I received the most surprising package in the mail yesterday. I was floored. My husband brought the mail home, and there was a box in there from Germany. And I was like, what in the world? I can't even imagine what this is. And I'm just floored by this. It is a package of goodies from a podcast viewer, and she had seen my episode a few weeks ago where I had mentioned that I was having difficulty with the applied border for this shawl. And as I had mentioned, a podcast viewer had sent me some DPNs so that I could finish this more easily, which was so wonderful. And she sent some too. That's just incredible. And like I had mentioned, there was still a third podcast viewer that had offered to send me some, and I had said, well, I'm already getting some from a different lady. Well, I never even heard from this podcast viewer, and she just sent it. I mean, that just floors me. I am so grateful. I do feel badly that I've already gotten some, but I'm still very, very grateful. They're so beautiful too. Look, they've got this beautiful rainbow colored wood to them. So thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. These are Knit Pro Symphonies, and they're beautiful. Thank you. And she sent me some yarn from Germany. This is so sweet and so wonderful. 2 skeins of Regia, all round color. These are 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide or nylon. Fingering weight. And let's see if I can figure out the colorway. I'm not sure. It says Fabre, and it says Partier. I'm not sure. I think maybe the Partier would be my guess for the colorway, which is 33211. I don't know what else it would be. But it's just this beautiful gray. It's got some tones of blue and a little bit of lavender in there as well. Some brownish tones. So pretty. I really, really love it. And it looks like it's going to have kind of a pattern to it, maybe, when it knits up. I have wanted to try Regia for a long time, and I never have, and I'm so excited to have some Regia. It's so sweet. And she sent me this gorgeous one. Oh my goodness, isn't that wonderful? I love those vibrant colors. This is Lang Yarns Ya Wool Magic Degrade. And again, a colorway, I'm not sure what, I guess it's a number, maybe 5912. would be my guess. This is also 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide nylon. It's 100 grams. And oh my goodness, those are gorgeous colors. I just love this so much. It's a single ply, I believe. Yeah, seems like a single ply. And I love this so much. So I hope you don't mind me mentioning your name, Anya. Thank you so much. This was such a special present to receive in the mail. Such a surprise and so wonderful. Thank you. I am just so touched by your thoughtfulness. Okay, the last thing that I have to share with you all is a set of yarn from my Etsy shop. Every time I record a podcast, I like to show a set of yarn that I think would work well for a project, just to give you an idea of the different colorways in my shop that may work well together for a project. The 3 colors that I have for today are these. And I really love how springy and even summery these colors are together. So fun. So the first one here is called Spring Rain. These are all on my Josephine base, which is a DK weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this is just a nice tonal light teal color. The next one is called Sings, and this has a neutral base, and then it's just got tons of colors in here. So there's a section of kind of a charcoal gray here. Then there's lots of specks of brighter orange, gold, green, fuchsia, purple, navy blue, teal. Am I missing anything? I think that's everything. But lots of colors in there. I love that one. And this is Living. This is the colorway that I had dyed, inspired by the Pantone 2019 color of the year. And so it's just a nice coral color. It's blowing out a little bit. It's not quite so red. It's more of an orangish color in person. But it goes really nicely with the specks in the Sings colorway, these orangish bits here. And I think that this Spring Rain colorway is a really nice contrast for the Living colorway. So I thought that was a fun combo. Nice and springy and fresh looking. All of my colorways are available on all 9 of my bases in my Etsy shop. I have from fingering weight, I have sport weight, DK weight, and worsted weight in my shop. And all of the colorways are available on all 9 of my bases at all times. So you can definitely head on over to my Etsy shop at noblecharactercrafts.etsy.com if you would like to check any of the yarn that I have to offer out. I would appreciate it so much. So we have had a really great week. We enjoyed Easter over the last weekend. We went to a celebration at a local business, and they have an event called Spring Fling where they have bouncy houses and pony rides and exotic animals and singing and Easter egg hunts for all ages and train rides. And what else did the kids do? Oh, they had cotton candy and so many fun things for the kids to do. So we went to that on Saturday, which was so much fun. I unfortunately got a horrible sunburn though. I was so surprised. I just hadn't even thought about putting on sunscreen when we left. The kids are all fine. They do honestly spend more time outside than I do, so they're more used to it. Their skin is. Like I mentioned, when they're playing outside, a lot of times I'm on the porch, so I'm under shade. I'm not out in the yard like they are so much. And anyway, and I'm also obviously fair skinned, and so I just got burnt so badly along my neck, especially around my neck. So I am peeling right now, so I'm hoping I'm not getting too much of I'll have to really make sure I don't have any of my peeling skin on this beautiful shawl. But anyway, I am grateful that none of the children got burned. Anyway, we had a nice Easter. It was really pretty low key. We just went out to eat for Easter, but it was wonderful. Let's see. This week the weather has just been gorgeous again. We've had a few days of rain where we've stayed inside a little bit more, but it's just been so green. Everything is just turning green so quickly, it seems. It's just wonderful to watch. We just see something new every day. It's so exciting. So anyway, I hope that you all have had a great week as well, and I wish you all a great week ahead. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this podcast as well. I would really appreciate that. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.